Today, Vue.js Amsterdam online conference took place. This conference, organized by my dear colleagues are passionate people, is a part of the JavaScript World Conference online, which was live for the past 3 days. And well, it finished already, but you can have all the videos available in the site. Right there, JavaScript World Conference Online 2022, 31 videos, and this is all the videos that we had the pleasure to watch for the past 3 days. And one of them, I'm not even sure whether it's here or not. Maybe this is not live yet. Maybe this is not live just yet. But one of the talks was by Evan Yu, which is, of course, the creator of Vue, our beloved front-end framework, which is driven by the community. And it's not tied to any specific company like Facebook or Google. And he presented his brand new Vue.js site. Vue 3 became the default version of Vue officially a few days ago. And we have this brand new beautiful site. And I'm gonna go through this to see what new goodies are there. Evan Yu said we should definitely read the new docs because we are sure to find some very nice surprises in there. So, first things first, the most important thing probably is this. We had a brand new dark mode out of the box. And as you can see, it's not just any random dark mode. Look at how smooth and beautiful looking the switch is into dark mode from light mode and vice versa. Look at how it's not like a popping effect. It's like a animated color change that changes from dark to light and the other way. And if you see the letters, they kind of change in a nice way also. It's like very smooth. They put lots of care. They put lots of care into this transition. Anyway, the site is new. I think I'll go with dark mode, but I honestly kind of like light mode also. And I'm gonna turn off flux. Yeah, it is. Okay, so without further ado, let's go into the docs. Let's see if there is something I want to showcase first. Well, yes, of course, we have the docs menu item here with a guide. Nice new thing, a tutorial. I don't know if you guys have seen the Svelte docs. They have a built-in tutorial to learn Svelte. And this is the same for Vue 3. If I just click there, you see, okay, the first thing is very cool. Vue 3, Vue 2, the previous versions of Vue uses the options API. But Vue 3, if you are even a little bit into Vue 3, you know the sexy thing is the composition API. And here you can see there's not much difference here, but you can see the change in the code when using the optional API and the composition API, and it's as easy to switch. Also single file component and just a pure HTML. There, yeah, you see the template. So this is very cool, and this is built in like everywhere around this website. Not only here in the playground or in the tutorials, but also in the documentation. There is this switch all the time to switch between how the code looks between the options API and the composition API. But look at this. You have your nice explanation and then a little let's go to any random thing that you go through all the documentation with little tutorial things. And at the end of each tutorial, you have some kind of little challenge. Anyway, we'll look into this later. Maybe we even do it and see. There is also something very nice, which is a playground where you can, like, let's say you want to test some idea you have for a view component or something like that. Instead of uh, creating a new project for that, a new playground project. I'm not sure if my sound is too loud. Anyway, if you want to test something, instead of creating a new project locally, you just go here, you type whatever you want. You can import whatever external libraries you want in here. And then you see the result here to what it transpiles, a CSS server-side render thing, which is like whatever, I'm not sure. I'm not a super duper expert in everything. So yeah, I'm a Vue developer definitely, but I don't know everything that there is under the sun. So, but anyway, this is very cool. Like imagine you want to do some test. You can even share it with, look, there is a share button and you can have a shareable URL that you can post, for example, in Stack Overflow, and you can share with your colleagues, or you can, you can share in Twitter or whatever. So that's very cool. Really, 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 really cool stuff. I like it. Anyway, let's close all this stuff. There is also some ecosystem links to learn more about Vue, to learn Vue actually, Vue Master, Vue School, Discord channel, team, sponsors, always there, important. Anyway, let's go into the docs and just start munching into that. Introduction. You are reading the documentation for Vue 3, Vue 2 documentation is here, sure, and there is also a migration guide. What is Vue? Vue, pronounced Vue, like Vue, is a JavaScript framework for building user interfaces. It builds on top of a standard HTML, CSS, JavaScript, provides declarative component-based programming model, helps you efficiently develop user interfaces, simple or complex. Minimal example, import create React app from Vue, and then this create React app takes an object as argument with a data property, which is a method that returns something, count zero, some data. This is the data from the options API. And wait a second, seeing here the options API, I am familiar with the options API. That's not the new juicy thing for me. I already know how it works. It's basically this object with some specific keys like data, computed, methods, and so on. And this is like how Vue 2 worked. It's the same thing. So here is the sexy thing. In every page on this documentation, you have this thing, this API reference. And here you can switch between options and composition API. And this, yeah, well, here it explains you have either the options API or the composition API. And if you don't know the composition API, the key thing about that is there is this setup function inside the script of the Vue component, And in the setup function, you explicitly define reactive variables and methods and all that stuff. Everything that you before added into the data option, into the computed option, into the methods, into the mounted, and so on, you instead define inside a setup function. And you import um, uh, the functions that you need to achieve that from Vue. This is a special type of script with a setup attribute, which basically makes it all simpler. The stuff inside this script is the content of the setup function. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. This is not, by the way, this is not a tutorial on how Vue 3 works. We're just gonna read the documentation. So I'm gonna assume you know your stuff a little bit. You kind of know what is going on here. If you don't, maybe we'll figure out when we read this thing, or you can just look for a introduction to a composition API in Vue. Anyway, the cool thing about that, look, we have this first code snippet here. This code snippet is using the options API, and at any point, whenever I want to see how it looks with the composition API, I can just do this. And oops, okay, this looks the same actually. All right. Maybe let's look at an example where it works. Let's go in the middle of some random thing. Yeah, here. This thing changed. We have a data. It doesn't matter where it is. We have a data here method which returns two properties. And this is the options API. If we click here, plop, they become refs. Nice stuff. All right, let's go to the beginning. I'm gonna keep composition API shown at all times because that's the new juicy thing, as I said. And let's see where we end up. I'll take some breaks in between, like probably I'll make parts of half an hour or something like that. But then I'll continue. Maybe it'll take me a couple days. So, okay, that's the basic about Vue. You have some data, which is a function that returns count 0 in object notation, and then you mount it on a hash app. This is of course an ID in our HTML, and this is HTML inside a template. And you have this data and you can interact with that. When I click this button, add click, increment count, and then show the count here with these curly braces. Double curly braces, nothing new here. So as expected, if we click the button, it happily, merrily, joyfully increases. The above example, and there is also this thing, of course, this mount dot mount on this selector, which is an ID. It could be body, it could be a class selector, I guess. It doesn't need to be an ID selector, but this means grab the element with the ID up and then throw in our data there, which is cool. You can use Vue like that. All right. The above example demonstrates the two core features of Vue. The clarity rendering. Vue extends standard HTML with a template syntax that allows us to declaratively describe HTML output based on JavaScript state. Reactivity. Vue automatically tracks JavaScript state changes and efficiently updates the DOM when changes happen. So yeah, that's a reactive variable, and if it changes, then everything is outdated. Reactivity. You may already have questions. Don't worry, we will cover every little detail in the rest of the documentation. For now, please read along so you can have a high-level understanding of what Vue offers. Prerequisites, the rest of the documentation assumes basic familiarity with HTML, CSS, JavaScript. If you are totally new to front-end development, it might not be the best idea to jump right into a framework as your first step. Of course, don't if you're just starting with front-end, don't just go and learn Vue or React or, God forbid, Angular or Svelte. First learn HTML, then CSS, then JavaScript. The good old trio, the holy trinity of the web. The progressive framework. Vue is a framework and ecosystem that covers most of the common features needed in front-end development. But the web is extremely diverse. The things we build on the web may vary drastically in form and scale. With that in mind, Vue is designed to be flexible and incrementally adaptable. Depending on your use case, Vue can be used in different ways, enhancing static HTML without a build step. That's true. You can import Vue as you used to import jQuery, just importing as a regular script and then directly use it inside the HTML. Pretty much like it's, I guess, like similar to how this is happening here. Yeah, you could have your HTML and then you import Vue and inside a script because you already have Vue available. I'm not sure if you have to do this. Yeah, you kind of have to do this import, I think. Or you may have to do vue.create create app, and then you would have your reactive data inside. So yeah, it's progressive. You can just plug it in a tiny bit of Vue in your HTML with your otherwise vanilla HTML, CSS, JavaScript page. Embedding as web components on any page. Single page application, full stack server-side rendering, Jamstack, static site generation, targeting desktop, mobile, WebGL, or even the terminal. The terminal? Okay. Yeah, I never did mobile development or WebGL or terminal development with Vue or with any other thing for that matter. So, okay, that's a nice thing to know. You can use it with mostly whatever your heart so desires. If you find these concepts intimidating, don't worry. The tutorial and guide only require basic HTML and JavaScript knowledge, and you should be able to follow along without being an expert in any of these. Which is good because I'm definitely not an expert. If you are an experienced developer interested in how to best integrate Vue into your stack, or you're curious about what these terms mean, we discuss them in more details in ways of using Vue. Okay, that's very cool. That's, I think, at the very bottom, extra topics. There you go. Anyway, despite the flexibility, the core knowledge about how Vue works is shared across all these use cases. Even if you are just a beginner now, the knowledge gained along the way will stay useful as you grow to tackle more ambitious goals in the future. If you're a veteran, you can pick the optimal way to leverage Vue based on the problems you are trying to solve, while retaining the same productivity. This is why we call Vue the progressive framework. It's a framework that can grow with you and adapt to your needs. That's very cool, right? I'm gonna create a notes next that you can see right now. To write things that I find interesting or along the way, basically this thing. Hello there. Oh, hello there. All right. So, but I'll keep it outside the screen. You can do the same if you want, if you are having the patience to follow me so far deep down into the depths of Vue.js.org. Single file components. That's our good old single file components if you have done some Vue programming experience before. And the new docs, the old docs started with using view, basically the view class and defining everything inside the view class. It's nice that uh, the single file components are first citizens in this documentation. They start right out with this, which is the easier way to write Vue, and it's the way everyone writes Vue. Well, I mean, you should know what it is, but single file components have style, a template, and the script. And inside the script, you define your reactive data. Inside the template, you can use methods and reactive variables like this or like so. Well, this is not a method, it's just, updating the value. And the styles, you just have your normal CSS styles. You can use other languages like SCSS, and most of the time you have them scoped to this component. This keyword means, scope means, as you may expect, that all the styles defined here will be scoped only to this component. So if we have a million buttons in other components, this style won't apply to them. It will only apply to this button right here, not to another button in another Vue component. SFC is a defining feature for Vue and is the recommended way to author Vue components if your use case warrants a build setup. You can learn more about the how and why of SFC in its dedicated section, but for now, just know that Vue will handle all the build tool setup for you. And with this, I'm gonna take a short break and I'll be back in around 5 minutes, hopefully.